Yes, good. Right, we're back. Where were we? We were looking at C. We want to put CAT up, cat, for Pete. Sorry, there is something on Tom's computer that we think has a problem with. Oh, staff 3. We've got 3 members of staff on here now, Peter. So that's what causes it to freeze up. Anyway, so here we go. So this is caterpillar. Tom, could you comment on this for Pete?
Yeah, caterpillar's been around a long time. So remember, we used to trade this in the old days, caterpillar, and so you're on good hunting ground with this. The main thing is, I'm sorry about the computer packing up. It's not the computer, it's something to do with the go-to. But we can see at the top here, there's lots of weaknesses in the background on Caterpillar, look. Right, so there we are. There's our friend upthrust, look. It's obviously been marked up, look. Driven up, probably on some news of some sort. Right. That's a sign of weakness. Notice it's been marked up heavily, look, and the volume is low. So it's gone up on little or no activity as such. And that's why it's a weakness. The computer said, right, okay, you told us 10 years ago that this is weakness. So here we are, I've got a signal for you. And that's what the computer's looking at. And the reason I mention that, because it'll be the same in the next years. It will not change. You'll still get these principles. Now, you get this bouncing effect, look. And that's why we've got this green arrow up here, look here. Demand is coming in, right, fair enough. Okay, so that green signal there, look. But there's a serious sign of weakness here, look. Despite this market's going sideways, and there's little or no supply at the moment, you don't know what the professional money that are handling this are doing, right? But that's there. There's no way you're going to get a bullish move. And the volume is not particularly high here. Is it less than... It's on the low side, look. That's no demand. But that's important here, look. And don't forget you traded harmony with the parent index. The parent index will probably be showing weakness around about there as well. Right. Same thing's happening here, look. This one is allowed what looked like a bit of an upthrust. But that weakness does not go. So again, we've got here, clear sign of weakness, exactly the same thing going on, look. Here, as we've seen several times on the way down, that's serious sign of weakness. And this is still falling. Yes, there was a little bit of support there by the increase in volume and the narrowing of the spread into fresh low ground. That's a little bit of support there. We really need trend lines on this, Peter. First two highs. First low, yeah. Right, in a bearish market, first 2 points of supply. That'll do. That's it. That's it, look. And there, that's trend line. That's the Wyckoff trend lines. Right, in the bear market, first 2 points of supply, first point of support. Right, notice that you will get traders trading on these trend lines because they do work. And that's why you may possibly have a surge here where you see a down bar and it's become oversold, right? And the spread, it's in fresh low ground and the spread is narrow. Don't forget it's volume spread analysis. So you've got increase in volume, look, increasing activity, in other words, which has made the spread narrow. Only some sort of support buying can do this. Now, again, you need to see the principle. Somewhere along here, it may go up a few bars. You need to see a test, because before that can come really bullish, this volume here has to be seen to have been absorbed, disappeared, used up. And that will appear on a test somewhere along here. But question from Rita.
Well, there's a few people on this test business, Tom. Basically, at what level of that high volume bar would it need to test? And also Jerry similar is saying, during these patterns with strength in the background requiring a test where the price comes all the way back down to the high volume bar, how come the 50% fibs do not work in this situation, whereas the retracement is mostly 100%? Are the 50% fibs respected more when there is no preceding high volume bar requiring a test?
Well, I would say to you, there's no point being too clever here or try to figure out some sort of pattern or some sort of formula. All you want to see, excuse me, is that when you see these down bars, especially that bar I just showed you, down narrow spread, very high volume, there's definitely some buying came in there, without question. Now, what you know, that if it's going to become bullish, right, it's going to have to, it'll probably go up a bar or two, or may even go even up to that top trend line. We don't know until it happens. But if it's bullish, it'll come back down to that level. It's a level that's important. And if once it's down to that level, then that volume would appear to have disappeared or diminished. Then that means that the supply that was represented on that high volume down bar has been absorbed. And the danger to a professional group, right, the danger has disappeared, that they know if they mark it up, it's not going to be swamped by supply from other traders. That's very important, what I've just told you.
And yes, Park is very right here. He says all club members should go into the archives on the VSA Club website and listen to Philip's webinar on tests, April 6th, 2011. Thanks, Park. Yes, it was a very good webinar about tests, and Philip's very comprehensive and he plans very well, and I suspect that it covers everything you'll need to know about tests, because tests can actually come in varying shapes and sizes, and it's being able to identify them when they happen, because when they do happen they're extremely powerful, and you have to get in straight away because often the reaction is very quick. There's an good question here actually on this one, Tom. That last bar is up and narrow, the blue one, your final bar. Oh, hang on. Oh God, I've lost my. Hang on. Have they lost me? I've got computer problems as well now. Lost the screen now, but I think it was, yeah, that bar is up and on quite high volume. Could that possibly be more selling and weakness?
Well, all we know is that that high volume on the previous bar has to be tested. Now, anything that's going on before that happens, you know, we don't have a magic ball. We can't, if you ring them up and ask them, they'll probably lie to you anyway. So it's no good expecting them to help you or any truth of any sort. I doubt it very much. It just doesn't mean much to us. It means that we expect the market to go up a few bars, But then we'd also, if it was bullish, in other words, if the S&P suddenly became bullish or the Dow, right, you would expect to see a down bar, and the volume or activity is really low. That means that there's no supply left. It's been taken care of. It's been absorbed by other professional traders, and then you could have a bullish move. And I would strongly advise you to do nothing unless you saw that. Now, if it goes back up that top trend line and you get another upthrust, especially if it's on high volume or even low volume, right, then you can short that. But that's what confuses a lot of people. You say, well, you just said market doesn't like high volume and up bars. Now you tell me it doesn't like low volume and up bars. And that's what confuses them, because they don't understand what's going on in the background. They don't understand how to read the chart.
Okay, thank you, folks. That's it for this week. If you've got any further questions, do try the forum. And as Park said earlier, it's well worth looking at some of the archives. And the more exposure you get, the better you'll get. So just to reinforce that thing about Tom's book, just really, like Rita said, that's how we learned to start with, because it's important, of course, like anything, you have to learn a skill. And part of learning for some people might be reading a book. So what does that say, Rita? I'll pass you over. Hang on.
Robert says, I have a copy of Tom's Master the Markets. Is there something in his other book, The Undeclared Secrets, that is not addressed in Master the Markets?
Well, I'll pass you over to Tom, because I don't know for sure. I've not actually read Master the Markets, so Tom will have something to say about that, I think.
Well, it was my original book. It was a copy of most of what I said in my original book. And what happened there was that we had Gavin, in his wisdom, brought in somebody else to rewrite the book to match the current software that he had at the time. But most people seem to like the original book, The Undeclared Secrets. And I've had loads of compliments over the years, and I've had people say, oh, I sleep with that under my pillow. And they do. They're really dead keen. But you keep reading these things, right? Repetition, and gradually you'll get your head around it. It'll come. It's not difficult. I don't understand what the difficulty is half the time, to be quite honest. It's fairly obvious to me, but you have to recognize that what you're looking at is professional money in the background, right, loading the market up with thousands of contracts or selling thousands of contracts. And remember, when they sell, they have to sell on up bars. And when they buy, they have to buy on down bars. And if you think about that, you'll see the logic of that. Just keep that in mind, and gradually it'll all flow, it'll come to you. We've proven that it'll come to you. And I always say we can prove what we tell you is right because of the automatic signals. If what we tell you is not true, then the signals wouldn't work. They would not work at all, because computers don't understand flaws in your thinking. Definitely not. And don't forget, many of these signals were done 10, 12, even 15 years ago. And they have not been altered. And they still work very well.
Okay, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week, same time and same place. And we'll be doing the newsletter on Sunday this weekend. Okay, thank you for listening. And we wish you a very good and successful week. And we'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Welcome to GoToWebinar, Web Events Made Easy.